here. Let's give it some time. Let's see what's the like and subscribe button. Sorry about starting a little bit later. I just had to deal with some technical issues. Let's see who joins. We're here to chat once again about Freemasonry. Thank you to everybody who joined me today for the push up challenge, 53 push ups. So, in honor of or to represent the 53% of individuals, especially young individuals, who report improved mental health and mental well being when they take a break from social media. I think social media can be a great tool for, a variety of things, including Freemasonry. I think social media can also come with some challenges as it relates to Freemasonry. I think it's up to us as Freemasons, especially those of us who choose. Some weird sound coming. Especially those of us who choose to be on social media. I think we have a responsibility to try and use social media in a healthy way, a responsible way, also to encourage others who are finding our content. When I encourage people to like and subscribe, I want to make sure that I'm also encouraging people to use social media in a way that is as healthy as possible. And that means even taking a break from Scruntumbus promotions sometimes, which is perfectly fine. I'm doing well, Mr. Courtney. How are you doing? Thank you for being here. I hope you are doing well. By the way, it seems that I'm speaking incredibly generally here. Fingers crossed that things have somewhat calmed down in Puerto Vallarta and in Mexico in general. Now, I think obviously for people in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico, the most important thing still is and still remains to be cautious. Register with the Canadian government through a link I provided on yesterday's live stream and in some comments. Pay attention to updates, shelter in place, and please make sure that you are being careful and being safe. And to any Masonic brethren who are in either Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, or anywhere affected by violence, same thing. I hope that you are safe. I hope that you are keeping your head down, sheltering in place, listening to authorities. I'm somebody who, like I said, have been in, luckily enough to have visited Puerto Vallarta many, many times. As a consequence of that, I absolutely hope that everybody is safe there. It's a really awesome city with really awesome Masonic brethren as well. Right, there are a lot of different phone numbers that you can call. I would say most important is to keep checking travel.gc.ca. You can call numbers such as, let's see, I have it here, 613-996-8885 or sos@international.gc.ca. That's 613-996-8885. Or you can also contact Consular Services at 5255-5724-7900. I did not know that, John Madden. Please hit like and subscribe. David Brent. Well, I don't want to bring a new order, either a new world order or a new order of any sort. I'm not sure what you mean by that, David Brent. So I'm not sure what that means. I have no interest in seeing a new order of any sort. I'm actually quite fond of the order we already have here in Canada and around the world. And certainly there's always room for improvement. There's always room for things to change. But I love Puerto Vallarta. I thought it was just fine the way it was. I didn't necessarily want to see a new order of any sort. So I'm not sure, David Brent, to what you are referring. I'm not even sure who David Brent is. I can't tell if that's your name or if that's supposed to be somebody of whom I'm not familiar. Edmund Whitehead, my ear crackles. I don't know what that means either. That must mean I'm saying something smart. It's kind of like when people say their ears are burning, is what I'm going to assume. Oops. Something is happening with my computer. I hope everybody, though, is doing well. Thank you again for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and thank you all for joining. Okay, I'm going to turn this on in just 1 second. Any thoughts you guys have on Freemasonry for the time being? Positive, negative, or neutral? Please let me know. And yeah, the first 60 minutes, I don't have any specific topics. I just hang out and wait to see who joins. Yes, always like and smash the subscribe button. I'm almost at 56, 5,000, or sorry, 3,600 subscribers, excuse me. So help me get there. It'd be much obliged and much appreciated. I am from Canada, born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba, presently live in Windsor, Ontario. And by the way, I love Canada, greatest country in the world, in part because we have the greatest neighbors in the world, despite perhaps some, shall we say, challenging political moments, still an excellent country. Well, I know Ordo ab Chaos. I know the implication you're making, but I don't know what it is precisely you think that means for Freemasonry, or why you think that Freemasons are interested in a new world order, right? And who's to say who we want creating the chaos? Maybe the implication, rather, is that there already exists within the world chaos, and rather we want to create an orderly world, or the Supreme Being creates an orderly world. We have nothing to do with it, right? We just recognize the order that is inherent within chaos. Geometry is an example of order out of chaos, right? The fact that you can create pi and the Pythagorean theorem and all these mathematical equations is an example of order out of what seems to be chaos. In fact, one of the most beautiful ideas of humanity, I think, and this is not exclusive to Freemasonry, this is just a humanity thing, is our ability to recognize patterns and order in what can seem to be chaos. In fact, I think you could argue that is one of the most beautiful things about humanity, is our ability to find order in what would otherwise seem chaotic situations. Well, order is not chaotic. Order would be the opposite of chaotic, I think, by definition. Hello, Penny Lou's Adventures. Well, you're on your own, because Freemasonry is a civic institution. It is not a professional one. So I wish you best of luck in laying your bricks, excuse me, but you're on your own. I cannot help you with that. Well, good for you. Freemasonry does not discriminate. So we have gay and straight members. Does not matter. What matters is you're a good man and honorable and true. You can be gay or straight. Either way, it does not make a difference. Would it make a difference if I'm gay or not? Why is it relevant? I do not see 33 being used a lot. I think you see 33 being used a lot because of what's known as frequency bias, also known as blue car syndrome, which is you believe, you think 33 is important, therefore you are always looking for it. It's kind of like when you purchase a blue car, suddenly everybody around you seems to be driving a blue car. You're just more likely to look for it because you think it's relevant. I don't know who that is, user ducks, but I'll take it. Let me just see if I can do this. How much time per week do you spend on social media? 0 to 10 hours, 10 to 30 hours, 30 to 50 hours, over 50 hours. All right, let's start the poll. Hello, Pumpkin Spice. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Well, I can be hostile sometimes, though I try not to be, because as a general rule, I find hostility doesn't help anything. However, if I think the person is acting in bad faith or is just not listening to what I'm saying, then I can get um, a little bit more hostile, shall we say. Highlander, I consider this to be my work. So yes, primarily I work from home. Now, sometimes, I have a care of address, and certainly part of being a Freemason and part of doing this work is I travel a fair bit, and I enjoy that very much. But yeah, primarily I do these streams from home. So hello, Anthony Reed. I visited Colombia. I forget if you're from Medellin, as you mentioned before, if you're the one from Medellin. But I've been to Colombia. It was absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to come back. I think, or be back. I think Colombia is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful country. They can help each other financially. So you are from Medellin, that's right. How far is Medellin from Bogota? I mean, so Freemasonry as an organization can certainly help a brother who's a member. We have very often what's called benevolence requests, where if you are a brother, um, and you fall on hard times or you're facing challenges, you can contact the Masonic Lodge and express your interest in joining Freemasonry. Sorry, express your financial concerns, what's going on, and you can request financial assistance. Whether or not you are able to get that financial assistance, that really depends on the lodge itself and the finances that the lodge has. However, that can happen. Individual Masons may help each other out financially. It really just depends on the circumstances and what they have kind of available to them. Certainly, we are, as brothers, perhaps more inclined to help one another out, financially or otherwise. I mean, it doesn't have to be financially. It could be something like we'll help each other move a couch or, just move houses or whatever it is, right? However, within Freemasonry, we're also encouraged to take um, that general idea of charity and apply it to the world at large. So, in the same way Freemasons are expected to be helpful to one another, it certainly would be expected that we be helpful in a more financial sense in general to the communities, right? Many Masons practice charity to neighbors, to friends, to charitable organizations, etc., etc. Well, thank you, user. What do you think what's happening in Mexico, Highlander? I mean, what I think happening is there's significant amounts of violence being carried out by the cartels in response to um, the death of, I don't know if it was the cartel leader or a cartel leader, um, in various towns across Mexico. It seems that it's primarily taking place in Puerto Vallarta and Jalisco province. In terms of what I think about it, I think it's incredibly sad. I've been to Puerto Vallarta 3 times. Incredible city, incredible country, Mexico, absolutely beautiful. I've written about why I love Mexico and why I love my Masonic visits to Mexico. And obviously, I guess what I can say is I really hope that, I really, really hope that, I don't know what the current loss of life is. I read it's at 50. I hope it doesn't go up. I hope everybody's safe, both Canadians, Americans, and Mexicans, obviously. I hope my Masonic brethren are safe, and I hope that the situation can be resolved, settled, cartel members brought to justice without any more loss of life or any more violence or any more damage. At least that's what I hope. We shall see. Lone Wolf? I don't know, but I think if people are proud of their country, that's a good thing. Please hit like and subscribe. Well, I think there are, drug cartels throughout the world. The extent to which they're connected to, let's say, Mexico or other countries, I don't know, versus how many of them are homegrown. None of that stuff I know or can say. But yeah, I think without question there is drug violence throughout the world. Welcome back from Wyoming. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. And once again, Wyoming is on my list of places to visit. What's the main city in Wyoming? Like the biggest city? If I had to, let's say, fly into Wyoming, I'm assuming I'd fly into the capital, would be my assumption. Your you like, I don't know what it is. What I would like you to do is hit the like and subscribe button. Cheyenne. Okay. I'm assuming there's some really cool Masonic buildings in Cheyenne. It'd be really fun to check out. I'd love to see. Again, Wyoming is one of the states I've never visited. I don't even think I've passed through it, to be honest, which would make me very sad. Um, Thank you, Courtney. I would love to. I'm trying to think if I've ever even traveled through Wyoming. Let me see. Oh, I think I did actually. Let me see. Because I took a train from San Francisco to Chicago once upon a time. Actually, no, we didn't. We went through Utah and then Denver. So Wyoming was to the north. I will say I thought Utah was absolutely beautiful, so I'd love to visit Wyoming as well. I have visited Minnesota, but not for a long, long time. So I'd love to get back there at some point. It's on my list of places I'd love to visit. They have a really cool Masonic Center in Minnesota, actually. I have family that lives in Minneapolis. Okay, did you decide which one you wanted to go to? Or did you decide out of, I'm assuming South Dakota, North Dakota, and Wyoming, which one it is that you wanted to, or where you wanted to go? Again, I would love to visit it. I don't know very much about Freemasonry in Wyoming. So obviously, it's something that I'd love to attend and visit more frequently. I just think it'd be really fun, or visit at all. Again, I love smaller towns. Wyoming seems like a place that has a lot of smaller towns, so I think that'd be really cool. I just think it'd be really fun to visit. So, believe me, it's on my list. I imagine actually probably it might be one of those places where taking a train might be cheaper than actually taking an airplane. I find for smaller towns or less densely populated areas, very frequently what you see is trains can be cheaper. Well, I'm not a huge fan of crime statistics. I think sometimes they get a little bit complicated. I will say, people have talked about, for example, Chicago and Detroit as having high crime statistics. I've been to Chicago and Detroit dozens and dozens and dozens of times. Um, and I've never felt unsafe there or anything like that. So I guess take that for whatever it's worth. Have you been there before, Thomas, to the big building in uh, Wyoming and Cheyenne? How many lodges are in Cheyenne, if you know roughly, just as a guess? Well, you can do whatever you want, Gooey, but not every Mason drinks rum and smokes cigarette, nor do they have to, for the record. It's not a requirement that we smoke, drink rum, or smoke cigarettes. So yeah, Thomas, do you know how many lodges are in? I'm gonna look it up because I'm curious now. Cheyenne, Wyoming, Freemason. Well, that makes me sad that you would do that, Epstein Islander. Unfortunately, there's not much that can be done about it. If your grandfather left it to you, then it's yours to do with as you please. But I'd rather you not do that. If anybody does have any Masonic items left to them from their families, then my hope would be that you return it to the closest Masonic lodge, and let them know, who your grandfather was and from whence it came. All right, I'm in how do you spell that? Cheyenne, Wyoming right now. Oh, here it is. Wow, that is a beautiful building. It's got the Masonic Temple sign. It's on 19th and Capitol. I live 150 miles. Oh my gosh, so you live quite a ways away. Are there many Masonic lodges in your town or your city? It wouldn't make a difference if there was or there wasn't, Gooey. Okay, cool. How do I get to your town? I'm guessing train or bus might be the way if you don't have a car. It is a really cool building. It's beautiful. Yeah, you can find it on Google Maps. It's got the flag out front. I hear it's very cold in Wyoming because it's super flat. We're just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Any thoughts you guys have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, let me know. I was going to talk about Freemasonry on social media, as well as I was thinking of talking about Reverend James Anderson, because I've been talking a lot about the Anderson Constitutions. I feel like I haven't talked enough about the author of the Anderson Constitutions, Reverend James Anderson. Good Scottish man, born and educated in Aberdeen. Phew. What you're talking about there, Epstein, which that's a hell of a name you got there, is the Fez. I do not have a Fez because I am not a Shriner. Um, but I think the Shrine does a lot of incredible work. Well, I don't think the Shrine does a lot of incredible work for children's hospitals, for charitable endeavors, as well as for the communities in which they're part of. And they do a lot of incredible work for Freemasonry in general, to its credit. All right. Yeah, you're talking about the Fez. You're talking about the Fez. Well, I'm sure there's some Torrington. I'm sure there's some Hispanics in Wyoming. I'm sure there's some Hispanics throughout America, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with. Freemasonry does not discriminate based on ethnicity, race, background, where you come from, right? It's about being a good man and honorable, pursuant to the Anderson Constitution, more so than anything else. I don't have shoes. I have no legs. All right, I think I have to put you in a timeout, Epstein Islander. With a name like that, it's clear you're full of baloney, but nonetheless, not that you care. All right, there we go. Torrington, Wyoming has a lodge. Cool. Let's look up. Let's see. Torrington, Wyoming. Oh my gosh. There's small town and then there's small town. Let's see. I'm trying to open this in maps. Torrington, Wyoming. Let's see if I can find the Masonic Lodge. There's a municipal airport. 6,119 at the 2000 census. Torrington, Wyoming Masonic Lodge. I'm not sure which comment it is to which you're referring, Anthony. Oh, there's an elk. There it is. Seneca Lodge, number 55. Yeah, I love fezzes as well. I agree. Okay, let's see. Trying to see if I can track this down. So I'm kind of curious now. All right. I'm doing well. So it's right across from a theater. And then we've got, oh, looks like it's above a shop or like a small town. Or like sorry, above a shop, as you see very often with small towns. All right, cool. And right across from that, you've, oh, no, there it is. I see it. It's, oh, interesting. It's on the second floor of the Kids Play Children Museum. That's cool. So the Kids Play Children Museum is on the main floor, and then it looks like the Masonic Lodge is on the second floor. I'm guessing that they rent out space. I'm guessing it's a municipal museum and they rent out space from it. That is awesome. That is really, really cool. And then you've got the Warner Theater on the other side of it. AI chat to buy. Well, we got AI on the stream. I would love to check out all of these places, Thomas. I would love to actually get a chance to visit Wyoming. Once again, I never had the chance, but believe me, I'd love to. One day, my goal is to try to visit as many different Masonic lodges, visit at least one Masonic lodge in every state in the United States. So far, I'm probably at about 20. I've talked about this before. I've visited Masonic lodges. I've been lucky enough to visit Masonic lodges in, let's see if I can do a rough count here. Michigan, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Orlando, Florida, California, Nevada, Arizona, so that's 9. Missouri, so that's 10. Kentucky, that's 11. New York, that's 12. Texas, that's 13. And I think that's it. So far I'm at 13. So I still got a long way to go. Let's see, Canton, North Carolina. How many Masonic lodges in Wyoming have you visited, Anthony? North Carolina. Let's see. Another small town, that's for sure. Nothing wrong with that. I love small towns. Canton, North Carolina, Masonic Lodge. Or sorry, Anthony, in North Carolina, how many Masonic lodges have you? So Pigeon River, it looks like. 882 Champion Drive. All right, let's see. Oh, looks beautiful. Small building. Sometimes those are the best kinds of Masonic lodges, though. Oof, I don't think. Looks like it's really out in the like. Or no, it's kind of in the middle. Ah, cool. Yes, it is. I got it on Google Maps right now, so I'm just looking at it at the moment. Maybe one day I'll get to visit North Carolina. It's on my list as well, I promise you. Hello, Sebastian Bruce. Like I said, there's 50 states with 50, with 50 Grand Lodges plus Washington, D.C. I would love to try to visit a Masonic Lodge in every single state. I think it would be really cool. My day is going well, Sebastian Bruce. Thank you, first person, for dropping in to say hello. I appreciate it. By the way, if anyone wants to drop in and give me a super chat, just 99 cents, helps out big time. and be greatly, greatly appreciated. All right, we're going to wait. Again, the first 60 minutes, I just hang out. The second 60 minutes, I give specific, I talk about specific things today. Freemasonry on social media, as well as talking about James Anderson, Reverend James Anderson. I've said it before, in my opinion, the greatest paragraph ever written about Freemasonry and religious tolerance is the Anderson Constitution, or is in the Anderson Constitution. It's the section titled of or concerning God and religion. So why not talk about the author of that constitution and that work, James Anderson? Hello, Disaster Prepared. I hope you're doing well also. Thank you for being here. I don't know if I'm the best, but I try my best to be the best. I try my best. Whether I'm the best or not is not important. What matters is I try my best. Well, if somebody is or isn't gay, it's not a matter of why, it's a matter of they are gay, right? It's like asking, why is somebody have any other attribute that they have? You don't really have a choice in it. You just are what you are. It is okay to fail. It's not okay to be too afraid to try because you're afraid of failure. Try and fail. At least you tried, right? The effort actually does matter quite a bit. I've never been a big fan of the whole Yoda philosophy, do or do not, there is no try. I think that's some baloney. No worries, Anthony. And obviously, don't send me a super chat unless you can afford it. Even once you get your military check, if you can't afford it, don't do it. Just, subscribe, like, and share the videos on your social media. That does more than enough. Hello, Brohan. Please hit like and subscribe. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Well, I think as you find success, and if you are successful, then you absolutely should, as a rule, try to help others, right? The more success you have, it's completely fair to try your best to support others in much the same way. I think that's completely reasonable. Dios World, would it matter if I was Jewish or wasn't Jewish? Right? Is that relevant? It's the Elephant Man. Yes, I know I look ugly. Jeff, the real Island Boy, please hit like and subscribe. Well, the fact that you think it matters is why I'm not going to answer the question. Because clearly you think irrelevant things are actually relevant and matter. It strikes me as being a pretty concerning attitude to have. Yes, Brohan, it really doesn't. People who think it does are probably some concerning people. Let's put it that way. Thank you. And no, I hope that God blesses you as well. And once again, maybe one day I'll make it to Medellin, Colombia. Who knows? I loved Bogota. It was beautiful. So obviously, as part of that, I'm sure that Medellin is just as beautiful. Depends who you ask, Rodolph. Depends who you ask. But thank you. I appreciate that. I will take a moment to please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're new, if you're not new and you're already subscribed, consider doing a super chat, share the screen, all that good jazz. This is a safe space for anybody who wants a safe space, not exclusively for LGBTQ, in the same way Freemasonry is for everybody. Yeah, of course you should help your family. The types of people are coming from all different backgrounds. I would say it's trending a little bit younger in general, which is... Actually, no, let me rephrase that. It's actually trending to the mid-20s and mid-30s, which is actually slightly older than when I first joined in 2007, and it seemed to be a lot of younger people. So it's trending slightly older. I would definitely say people who are a little bit more financially secure in their jobs, as well. But that's very much a anecdotal report based on what I'm seeing. It's not necessarily what I can't speak for what Freemasonry as a rule is seeing. I've actually be curious to see if there are any stats I can find asking that question. Um, which is what are the common characteristics we are seeing presently in our applicants? I think it'd be really fun to check that out. When you say what are they looking for, do you mean what is Freemasonry looking for out of an applicant, or what are applicants looking for out of Freemasonry? Because you're asking what are applicants looking for? Honestly, I have not been a part of an investigation committee in a little while. And as a consequence of that, I don't know if I can necessarily say, because I'm not kind of chatting with them about why they're joining. I'm kind of trusting the investigation committees to report back. I would say, in general, though, what I'm seeing out of applicants is a search for meaning in their lives. I think that's something we're seeing in general. Young men, especially middle-aged men, are feeling kind of purposeless. They're feeling unmoored, and they're trying to find a purpose and a meaning. And they're looking at different groups and organizations, including Freemasonry, to find that purpose. Um, I am not a Shriner, Eric. I am third degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree within Freemasonry. Despite what some people say, I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite. You can do whatever you want, just make me look good, I suppose, Sebastian Bruce. My dad is a Freemason, I can tell you that. Eric, because it's not a secret club and I can talk about it. I've been a Freemason for almost 20 years, right? There are private elements of being a Freemason, ritual and ceremony, and those are things I choose not to talk about, not because I'm afraid or concerned or anything like that. I think that's nonsense, but rather because I want to maintain the bonds of brotherhood between current, past, and future generations of membership. To do that requires maintaining the privacy of shared experiences through our ritual. However, when it comes to why I love Freemasonry, the history of Freemasonry, important figures within Freemasonry, all of that stuff is um, completely open to discuss. Um, and the old idea of which you see a lot, unfortunately, right? This old idea from back in the day that you cannot discuss Freemasonry. Ultimately, I think that's never been helpful to our Masonic growth, to Freemasonry within communities. It's one of those things where we have to be willing and have to be, I don't even know what the right word is, willing or excited or looking forward to talking about and discussing Freemasonry and why we love it and why we care about it. Now, you don't have to, and there's no rule that says you have to talk about being a Freemason, but I choose to. I'm also trying to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession by trying to, create content on social media. So please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button, and please consider um, a super chat. I am using Google. Yeah, I always use Google when I'm on here because I'm always trying to find stories and things that are popping off. For example, yesterday I was talking about Mexico, and I want to keep up to date with what's happening within Mexico, especially because I have a lot of Masonic brothers in Mexico, including in Puerto Vallarta. I want to know that they're okay, or at least, you know, as okay as they can be given the circumstances. Um, I also, the thing about Google and social media in general, um, so Trump is not a Grand Master, Trump is not a Freemason. The thing about using Google, and you need to be really careful of this, is I've been a Freemason for 20 years, just about. I've been to over 1,000 Masonic events around the world. I know enough about Freemasonry to recognize and understand when something on Google is most likely true and when something on Google is most likely bullshit, right? If you don't know those things, because you don't have experience, you need to be incredibly careful because Google will give you both correct and incorrect information. You have to have the discernment, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the intelligence to recognize which is which. All right, well, goodbye, Sebastian Bruce, but thank you for being here. We're going to give it some more time and see who joins. Well, that's a great question, Disaster Prepared, but you need to keep in mind, I mean, it's even more complicated than that because there is no single Masonic American governing body, and there is no single Masonic Canadian governing body. So there are differences in Freemasonry between Ontario and Manitoba. And in the same way, there's differences in Freemasonry between Wyoming and North Carolina, right? It's state by state, province by province. In general, though, Freemasonry in Canada more often follows emulation ritual, which was set down in England after the formation of the United Grand Lodge of England. Whereas American Freemasonry tends more often to follow Preston Webb, or you call it York Rite ritual. So there's interesting little differences in ritual. For example, in America, the worshipful master more often than not tends to wear a hat as part of his office. We don't do that in Canada under emulation. Um, Obviously, the history of Freemasonry is different within the United States versus Canada. Um, the separation from the United Grand Lodge of England, all of that jazz. But I would say the biggest difference is the nature of the ritual. Again, with Canadian ritual forming more closely to emulation. So, for example, one of those differences is within Canada, you very most frequently have to open your lodge in your first degree, then your second degree, then your third degree, then back down. Entered apprentices tend to have less rights when it comes to, for example, business meetings, voting in lodge, things like that. Whereas in Canada, very often you can, as an entered apprentice, attend a business meeting, vote on motions, speak in lodge, because business is done in the first degree. Um, but that shouldn't stop you as an entered apprentice in Canada from wanting to visit the United States and visit lodges. Just make sure that when you visit, you immediately explain to them, your degree that you're an entered apprentice, and make sure they know that so they can open and welcome you appropriately. Um, I hope all of that stuff made sense. No, Freemasons. Oof, Mr. Keeps. Well, top hat rondo in some cases, or in other cases, it's a cowboy hat. Mr. Keeps, I can imagine, like I said, I've never really struggled with quitting smoking because I never smoked enough, thankfully, to ever, I think, become like addicted to it. Having said that, keep up the good work. You should be proud of yourself. Just think you're not just doing this for yourself today, you're doing this for all the people who care about you. And you're doing this for your future self. So keep up the good work. You should be proud. No, Freemasons do not jump goats as part of their rituals. Yeah, we do a lot of social events, both in Canada and the United States and in Freemasonry around the world. In fact, I'm organizing a public event at the Windsor Masonic Temple on March 28th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I can't wait to do it. It's going to be a blast. It is a community services fair. We're going to have police, fire, all sorts of different public services present, talking about what they provide to and for Freemasons. What they provide to and for the general public. We're going to have Masons there as well. We're going to have Masonic programs there, like the Masonic Child Identification Program. So please, if you're in Windsor, Essex, Detroit for that matter, attend the March 28th Community Services Fair at the Windsor Masonic Temple Ballroom. It's going to be a blast. We neither jump nor ride. No worries, Mr. Keeps, right? Your focus has to be on, your personal and private and public avocations. So I hope whatever came up, though, was a good thing and not an emergency. And I hope you're doing well. Well, I suppose 4, 5, 6, 4. That strikes me as somewhat specious reasoning. Having said that, I agree with the overall sentiment, so I'll concur. Don't smoke. If we're meant to smoke, we'd have chimneys on our head. Thank you, Disaster Prepared. Yes, I've got 100% so far. It is going to get a lot more push-ups in the next few days because we're coming up to the home stretch. But thank you for that. And Disaster Prepared, if you want to make sure to support me, leave a comment on some of those videos. Those comments help out big time, believe me. So leave some comments, etc., etc. That would be incredibly helpful. There's a lot of ways to support the channel. A super chat is one way, just 99 cents. $5, $10, whatever it is you want to do, that helps out majorly. Also, though, leaving comments on videos and sharing videos helps out big time as well. In another, let's say, 10 minutes, we'll start on the main topics, the main points. But Disaster Prepared, are you doing any of the push-ups with me? And if so, how many push-ups have you made it to so far? But yeah, March 28th. Come for the community services fair. Hello, ND Range. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. I hope you'll take a moment, hit the like button and the subscribe button, and or I think you've already subscribed. Hit the like button and let me know how it's going. Nice. What's going on, Freedom Fighter? Well, I don't know what that means. Drang. I can't pronounce your name. ND. No Grandmaster was talking doing push-ups. Now keep in mind, again, do what you can do what's healthy for you, what's safe for you. Don't be hurting your shoulders or something. This is the Freemason man, or the Freemason brother. Whether I'm Jewish or not, Connor, is irrelevant to being a Freemason. Hello, Freedom Fighter. I can talk. Thank you for being here. I love yoga. I got to give a huge shout out to Core Power Yoga. It's a place I love to visit when I'm in Glenview, Illinois. So I think it's the bomb. And yoga can be an excellent way to, have mindfulness within your life, to improve mindfulness and improve your mental health. Connor, what difference would it make if I was Jewish or not? Why is that relevant? Um, is the question. Honestly, I mean, I don't know what a troll would be in real life. If somebody's being rude or disrespectful in real life, my obvious goal would be to just leave the situation. Because unfortunately, there's not a lot else you can do. If the trolling becomes threatening or dangerous, then you contact the authorities and you'd make sure your lodges are properly secured. Um, Freemasonry is not Baal worship, Ben Hutchinson. And Freemasons are not bozos. Some of us might be. I might be a bozo. Um, but there you go. ND, that might be correct. In fact, that is correct. But again, I don't like to talk about faith because Freemasonry, it's irrelevant. It's no different than if I started a channel about being a painter, let's say, and I love talking about painting. People are asking me what my faith is should be irrelevant. The question should be, how good am I at painting? Should be the question, you would at least hope. We're going to give it another 10 minutes, then we're back to this guy's free. I'm not sure. I mean, I know. I'm not sure. So when you talk about white gowns, hello, Dream Seeker. I mean, I think you're referring to the higher degrees. Like within Freemasonry, within the craft degrees, I've never seen any gowns be worn in emulation ritual. There are sometimes um, when you're doing a degree, there are dramatic elements. Some type of rituals emphasize drama or theater, whereas others, it's more simply explanations. Um, but it probably what I think you're referring to are degree costumes, specifically in Scottish Rite. In the craft degree, um, it's an apron, right? Yeah, it's a Masonic apron. I think the white rose referring to would be degree costumes in higher degrees, which I have seen in Scottish Rite degrees, for example. But it's just because you're playing different characters. Or sometimes, honestly, it could be because you're missing proper dress. Like when I visited a lodge in Bogota, um, I did not have a suit and tie with me, and I visited a third degree. The dress code is suit and tie. Since I did not have one, they gave me a black robe to wear, just because I did not have a suit and tie. And obviously, if I'm showing up in my t-shirt without the proper dress, it reflects poorly on me compared to everybody else in a suit and tie. So part of it was to make me feel less auspicious as well, or less to stand out less, right? Simple American. Um, you should check out the London Grand Lodge ceremony. Hold on one second. London Grand Lodge ceremony. Oh, yeah, I'm seeing pictures. Those are aprons. We in Freemasonry wear Masonic aprons in honor of our stone Masonic roots, right? Initially, we were stone Masons, and we developed a social club or a civil group or civic organization. But the original stonemasons all wore aprons to protect their garments from spot and stain. So we, within Freemasonry, adopted them for moral teachings and moral purposes, or ethical teachings and ethical purposes might be the better term to describe it. Yeah, I mean, they're traditionally made out of lambskin. Now I do that because they're not really. They're mostly nowadays, I would say, made out of polyester or cloth. Um, but it's interesting. I recently discovered uh, a Instagram channel And the entire Instagram channel is a actual stone mason who's doing stone Masonic work, and he just films himself shaping stone into brick, into columns, into whatever it is he needs to shape it into. And he always wears an apron when he's doing his work. And again, he's wearing the apron um, for practical employment purposes. We wear aprons for theoretical or ethical purposes, metaphorical purposes might be the best way to describe it. Well, I mean, every profession, yeah, that, if you were a stonemason or a carpenter or even a cook for that matter, you probably wore some type of apron while doing your work just because it was necessary in order to protect your garments from spot or stain. So it makes sense that we as Freemasons, evolving from stonemasonry and evolving from stone Masonic guilds, would adopt the lambskin apron or just an apron for the same purpose. Well, for to distinguish ourselves and our organization from other organizations, and to impart moral lessons or ethical lessons. Ethical is probably the better term. Simple American, I'm sorry, with your I cannot help you with your college loans. I do appreciate you being here. Um, Well, stonemasonry is incredible, the man known as JR. I think we as Freemasons need to do a better job paying tribute and respect to our stonemason roots. But that's for a whole other day and a whole other can of tuna. But yeah, I think we absolutely should spend more time caring about our stone Masonic roots. That's why I'm following. Let me see if I can find his name now. Um, that's why I try to follow a few different channels on Instagram dealing with stonemasonry. So I am not rich. I am not a business, but I am a dude. So I'm not rich. I guess you could call this a business, but I would not consider myself a businessman yet. But I am a dude, so you're one for three. But we do respect tradesmen. Of course we do. We evolved from tradesmen. Our whole organization evolved from stone Masonic guilds, right, in the Middle Ages. Um, so there you go. Um, no, it does not. I don't think you're referring to when you say Masonic triangle, I think you're referring to the Royal Arch symbol, and I can't think of the name of it now, and I used to know it. Hold on just one second. Royal Arch. The Triple Tau, I think is what you're referring to. It does not, because Freemasons um, do not control the world, nor do any Masonic entities control the world. Um, so no, it does not. What Masonic? So honestly, I don't follow a lot of Masonic educational channels on, let's say, YouTube. In terms of works and books, I definitely follow a ton. I actually am subscribed to a ton of free Masonic newsletters from everywhere from Somerset to Idaho. Disaster Prepared, I created a Medium article or Medium story called Good Worshipful Masters Borrow, Great Worshipful Masters Steal, where I provide a series of links um, to a variety of different educational resources that you can sign up for completely for free. I hope that you will check that out, Disaster Prepared. Once again, it is um, the Medium story, Good Worshipful Masters Borrow, Great Worshipful Masters Steal, Disaster Prepared. So let me see if I can find the link. And it's on Medium. Again, you can follow me there. I hope you will. Let's see. Yeah, I try not to be esoteric. I mean, I find the esoteric aspect of Freemasonry fascinating, but I think it does not always, or is not always as helpful for especially people trying to grow within the Masonic journey. Well, the all-seeing eye, the eye of Providence, the eye of Ra, it's a very common symbol. It's not exclusive to Freemasonry. So let's see. I think disaster prepared. If you type in good worshipful masters borrow, great worshipful masters steal, and then you type in medium and square and compass. If you type all of that into Google, the link should pop up. Freedom Fighter, I don't meditate, so I'm not sure what you mean by that. Well, there you go. I know very little. But I hope you will check out my article. And there are certainly people who know a lot more than me. I will tell you that for sure. And I hope that you guys will, within that context, find my article I wrote and learn more about Freemasonry from a variety of sources all around the world. So do the ancient Egyptians. I mean, it's on the American dollar bill, if I recall correctly, um, which is not Masonic related, despite what people say. I don't know what that means, MK Parwan. What I will not deny you is hitting the like button and the subscribe button. So please hit the like button and the subscribe button. I would much appreciate it. I don't think that's true either, ND, but I can't say for sure. I mean, I know that, for example, the American designer of the $1 bill, so hold on just one sec, was not, if I recall correctly, a Freemason. Um, let's see. Looks like the most recent design was in 1963. Yeah, social information they're adopted. Who first designed? Because it was, I'm looking this up now. I'm curious. Who first designed? It was under Ben Franklin, who hired somebody, if I recall correctly. Let me see. Yeah, so the claim that Freemason Benjamin Franklin designed the $1 bill is false. While Benjamin Franklin was a Freemason and part of the very first committee assigned to design the Great Seal of the United States in 1776, his proposals were rejected. The design elements commonly associated with Freemasonry on the back of the dollar bill, the Eye of Providence and the pyramid, were added much later. So, the Great Seal. The Eye of Providence, all-seeing eye atop the pyramid, was adopted as part of the Great Seal of the United States in 1782, not designed by Mason for currency. The first $1 bill was issued during the Civil War and featured a portrait of Salmon P. Chase, Lincoln's Treasury Secretary, not George Washington. The modern $1 bill, the current back design featuring the Great Seal, was ordered by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1935. He was a Freemason. The current front, featuring George Washington, was issued in 1963. The real Franklin currency, Benjamin Franklin is credited with designing the Fugio cent, 1 cent coin in 1787, which featured the motto, "Mind your business." While some creators of the 1935 redesign, such as FDR and Henry Rollins were Masons, historical records show the Eye of Providence was a common symbol for God's watchful care in the 18th century, and its inclusion was not specifically to promote Freemasonry. So there you go. Here it is. Smittery. That was driving me crazy. Control F. Hold on 1 second. Designed the seal. That is true. The Great Seal of the United States was primarily designed by Charles Thomas, Secretary of the Continental Congress, and William Barton. There it is. I was trying to figure this out. The Great Seal of the United States was not designed by a Freemason. It was largely designed by Charles Thomson, Secretary of Congress, and William Barton in 1782, neither of whom were Masons. While Benjamin Franklin was a Mason on the first design committee, his proposed design was rejected. So there you go. Well, I can't speak to Mithras ND range. So what I would always say, and I guess this is kind of a little bit of a mea culpa, I would always say and explain that the designer of the dollar bill was on the same committee as Ben Franklin, but was not a Freemason. I should have been saying the designer of the seal, which uses the ad Providence, which was added to the dollar bill in 1953, was not a Freemason, or were not Freemasons. Yes, and that I guess, was created by or included through Charles Thomson and William Barton, who first designed the Great Seal, which includes the eagle, the pyramid, and the Eye of Providence. In my jurisdiction, I would say on average, disaster prepared, and this is my experience, it's about 6 months to a year. Actually, so I would say, I'd say 6 months is a fair average, moving from first to second and second to third. And then obviously once you're in the third degree, you just kind of stay there forever, right? You can after that become an officer, or you can join a appendant body, but you will remain within those degrees. You remain within the third degree. Apple tree. FM did its FM symbol. So FDR was involved with the most recent, I guess, version of the bill in 1953. I cannot tell you much about Solomon's ring because I know very little about it. I think you're referring to the Seal of Solomon. I know Solomon is obviously incredibly important within Freemasonry, as is Solomon's Temple. It's an important apocryphal and legendary story, which implies ethical lessons. So it's something I know very little about. All right, so I did say that I wanted to discuss Freemasonry and social media. The reason being, today I didn't have to do, but I chose to do. Oops, let me just get this up again. So today I did I did 80, 53 push-ups. And the reason I did 53 push-ups is because 53% of young people in particular report what is going on here? For some reason, it's not working. Come on. 53% of young people report that spending time away from social media actually encourages their mental health and mental well-being and makes them feel as though they have better mental health and better well-being. And as a consequence of that, it makes sense to me that we should be discussing social media within Freemasonry. But for some reason, I'd had a whole thing published and now I can't find it. Let me see if I can track it down here. Let's see if this works. How many... All right, let's see if this... actually works. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. Who controls the British crown? Yes, that is the question. I mean, I don't know if you can really develop your own degree. I don't think that's how it works. All right, here we go. We're going to do it this way. Because for some reason, this thing is not working. It's driving me crazy. Technology is only great when it works. So, ND, when you say the 13 families of the Kabbalah, I'm not quite sure what you mean. When it comes to Freemasonry, there are no bloodlines. You can have a, I don't like this term even, a bloodline connection to Freemasonry, right? Like my dad was a Freemason, my grandfather's both Freemasons. However, many people join Freemasonry and have no bloodline connection to it. They have no previous generations of their families who were themselves Freemasons. Rather, they're joining for the first time. I mean, I am a Mason. I like to think I'm also a normal guy. Locker, we should not be sacrificing anyone's bloodlines. I would say that's probably a pretty terrible idea. So let's not sacrifice anyone's bloodlines. Let's not sacrifice anything other than our time and our energies. I'm perfectly fine with sacrificing our time and our energies, but we should be sacrificing our time and our energies for Freemasonry as well as for our communities. And if you're not a Freemason, that's perfectly fine. Figure out what you love and care about and sacrifice your time for those things. You know, if you love something, you should care about it. All right, so Freemasonry in social media. Again, the reason that I picked this topic is because today I had a target goal of 53 push-ups to represent the 53% of young people who report feeling better and having better mental health by taking a break from social media. I know it sounds funny me saying that because I'm on social media every day and I am on, I basically am trying to use social media for my living. However, even for myself, what I would say is it's incredibly important that I find time and make a positive impact or make a positive effort to try to at least spend time every day away from social media. And in fact, Freemasonry absolutely helps me, 100% helps me do that. Because honestly, the one time I don't have my phone with me and I don't have my phone on me, and I'm not checking it constantly, is when I'm in a Masonic lodge. I choose to put the phone away. I leave the phone outside of the room, outside of the lodge room, because that is the time when I can purposefully and mindfully step away from or roll away from social media, and both its positive but its negative effects, and focus on being in the present and being in the moment. I don't do summoning spells because I don't believe in summoning spells. I don't believe in magic. Disaster prepared. I have no idea. We already have a pretty significant social media presence. The problem is, though, our social media presence is battling with the social media presence of people like Locker who believe nonsense. For example, when I type into Google Freemasonry, now again, or sorry, when I type into YouTube Freemasonry, now again, this is one of those things where it says my account, so it is somewhat curated, but the first result I get is former 33rd degree Mason reveals the darkest secrets of Freemasonry from a channel entitled Almost False, which has 5.7 million views and is an hour 16 minutes in length. The next one I get is Freemasonry Explained in Under 3 Minutes. That is from Symbol Sage. That has 382,000 views from a year ago. Then you get Top Ranking Freemason Reveals How to Become a Master Freemason. That has 27,000 views. That is from Danny Jones Clips. The next one is Spooky Rituals of the Freemasons Explained. That's from The Great Courses, and that has 4 million views. And then The Secret Story of Freemasonry Endeavor documentary, that is from the channel Endeavor. That is 474,000 views. And then the last one, Inside the Freemasons documentary reality TV, 1 million views. That's from Best Documentary. Well, we're not that secretive in Freemasonry. Here I am talking about it right now. So how secretive can we be? But again, what do you see? And this is a big issue with social media, is it naturally sells to or engages with or promotes. I mean, somebody talked about it as rage. It things that will get your emotions up, will get your cortisol spiking, if you will. So notice the very first result with 5.7 million views, the most views from this search result. Former 33rd degree Mason reveals the darkest secrets of Freemasonry. When I'm doing this channel, I'm talking about the truth of Freemasonry, which honestly is incredibly boring, is incredibly dull, is incredibly, I mean, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, and I love it, but it's not dark. It's not the darkest secrets. It's not spooky. It's a group of people who enjoy one another's company, believe it's worthwhile to spend time with each other's company, and want to make the world and communities better. That's not as interesting. That doesn't get the same clicks darkest secrets of Freemasonry will get, you know? Or for that matter, Top Ranking Freemason reveals how to become a Master Mason. Again, with implications that are based on the thumbnail. The Secret Story of Freemasonry with 474,000 views, with a picture of what looks to be a devil on the thumbnail, right? This is what, unfortunately, engages content or creates engagement. Conspiracy, rage, fear, anger, all of those things. And it's very hard for us as Freemasons to compete with that. It's not impossible, but it is very challenging, because the truth of Freemasonry is very often it's very boring and dull. When I'm talking about the necessity of making sure our Masonic buildings have the proper, let's say, civic licenses, whether it be fire safety or security systems or insurance, that's not going to be as exciting as, for example, former 33rd degree Freemason reveals the darkest secrets of Freemasonry. So one of the biggest challenges we have within Freemasonry is how do we provide accurate information? How do we provide valuable information? But how do we ensure that that information is going to find engagement to the same level and to the same degree as engagement designed to create, again, to stoke anger and fear and resentments and paranoia and conspiracy and all that good jazz. Yes, Mason does mean builder, and we are not building the devil's works. See Pro Co by Dank. The idea of Freemasonry as building the devil's works, it's interesting. People will respond to that. They'll tune into that, even though it's not true. Is your Masonic building properly insured and have the correct fire safety regulations? That is much, perhaps, less interesting, especially to a non-Mason. However, I would suggest it's far more valuable and far more important. When I type in Freemasonry into X in the search bar, and I go to top, again, these things are, to latest, these things are to a certain extent curated for me. But the very first post that comes up from 13 minutes ago, Freemasonry as an institution was neutralized, says hostile witness. Deeper layers probably chugged on covertly, waiting for his fall, which they did, resurfacing not long after, and still influencing via family third parties. And this is a response to a post from Red Pill Drifter, who has a blue check mark. Napoleon removed the Freemasons' ability to exist as independent power centers. His entire system was built upon one principle: nothing operates above the state, and nothing operates beside it. Within Freemasonry, he allowed lodges to exist, but they were folded into the imperial order. They were monitored, staffed by loyal officials, and stripped of their earlier revolutionary autonomy. Freemasonry has circulated occult, esoteric mysticism, and ideas before and during the Revolution, but under Napoleon, it lost its ability to act as a transnational ideological network. It became politically harmless. In that sense, Freemasonry as an institution was neutralized. And then there's a picture of Donald Trump posting or reposting something from another channel. Napoleon Bonaparte's "He who saves his country violates no law." The next one is claiming that Emily Charlotte Bronte has ties to Freemasonry. The next one is from Henry von Blumenthal. That's the Twitter or X handle. In my view, Freemasonry is very dangerous spiritually, but not usually particularly dangerous in the conspiratorial ways generally imagined. And then somebody else reposting a picture called the Judas Syndrome. So I guess my point is, and my concern is, how do we within Freemasonry create content, and I'm asking this both for myself and Freemasonry in general, that is as engaging as conspiratorial content, as engaging as content that preys upon misinformation and tries to stoke anger, fear, and resentment of Freemasonry, while also being accurate and beneficial, right? Again, how do I create content discussing the necessity of having correct insurance within a Masonic lodge and having your building be of the correct fire codes? How do I make that content as interesting as content that has a title that says something like "The Darkest Secrets of Freemasonry"? How do I explain the truth about Freemasonry, the truth about the secrets of Freemasonry, the truth about the value of Freemasonry, but still create engaging content? Because again, Freemasonry is at a disadvantage with that. Content that proclaims to be exposing secrets, or that is conspiratorial in nature, or that tries to tie in and create some type of grand conspiracy, it's always going to be interesting to people. it's always going to drive engagement, especially if it tries to, for example, promote or encourage resentments. Apple Tree, LBJ was a Freemason. LBJ was a Freemason. Well, though those are not great heroes, you can have any heroes you want, but I would pick some different heroes myself. If you're looking for Masonic heroes, I have no knock against Manly P. Hall or Albert Pike, but they spoke for themselves. They did not speak for Freemasonry. Um, there are three layers in Freemasonry, and the rest are appendant bodies. But yes, LBJ was a Freemason, entered apprentice. So no, hope and glory, Freemasonry is not a huge ego trip to feel superior and important. The extent to which I feel important, I mean, Freemasonry is something that gives me a sense of importance, but I could derive that importance from a variety of different ways. I could derive that importance from, I could derive that importance from being part of a football team, being part of a gym, being good to my neighbors. There's many ways to derive importance. I have no idea because I'm not the Illuminati, Shizalus, so you're on your own. And Dreamseeker, you could possibly take a creepy truth or fiction segment where you share the open conspiracies and debunk them, go to a Green Acres. I could. And having a good background, I mean, obviously, I do these streams from my place, so as a general rule, my background is not that interesting. But I definitely could try to do more. I mean, with the push-ups, I try to go out into the world, into, Windsor, and do push-ups in different places, which has been a lot of fun. But getting a different background would be a really good idea. Yes, I could do more green screen stuff. In fact, I've been thinking about trying to do more green screen stuff. So I just need to be careful with that I'm not using any green screen copyrighted images. Um, but I mean, again, going back to I thought LBJ is my favorite president. So there you go. When I asked the question, how much time per week do you spend on social media? 0 to 10 hours got the highest number at 46. But let's assume it's 5 hours per week, right? That is 5 times 52, which is 50, 100, 150, 200. That's 260 hours per year on social media. If even a percentage of that is being spent looking up Freemasonry, and if a percentage of that is focused on the darkest secrets and the conspiracies and all the things that create resentments, that right there creates a challenge for us within Freemasonry. It also creates a challenge because I've talked about this before. There's a codependent relationship that you develop with these ideas, right? If you are struggling in life, if you are facing challenges in your life, and you're not sure how to solve them, one of the ways that people will try to ignore their problems is they'll search for problems to solve outside of their own. So if you have an issue, let's say with substance abuse, that can be a hard thing to deal with, to have to look in the mirror and say, I have a problem with substance abuse and I need to deal with this. A better thing is to go onto social media, find some type of conspiracy theory about Freemasonry, and then spend all your time researching that conspiracy theory and, sharing links or whatever it is. Imagine that you're doing something to fight the Freemasons, when what you're actually doing is ignoring the problems within your own life and creating a false problem for you to solve. Right? I mean, Medium talks about this, Bria Rivello, 4 ways Facebook fuels codependency, right? As she writes here, and I suggest you guys check out this article. I don't think I'm subtly dissing you. I think I'm stating you're incorrect. I've been on Facebook user on and off since I was 10 years old. I'm also an adult child of an alcoholic and self-aware codependent. Codependency has many definitions. for the issue I'll be discussing in this article, 3 well-suited definitions are focusing on other people and their problems to avoid looking at your own, a tendency to get involved in toxic relationship patterns that involve control, enabling and tolerating unacceptable behavior, an addiction to fixing and controlling other people. Um, right? How Facebook fuels codependency, Facebook stalking. Most of us have done it, looked up someone's profile without friending him or her and obsessively flipping through a friend's profile. Took this to the extreme with a drug addicted cousin. Facebook stalked him, girlfriends, drug friends, and drug friends' families regularly. Came to the point that I felt I knew these individuals without ever meeting them. Um, right? Even created fake Facebook accounts to befriend some of them. Huge waste of time, did not benefit this individual or the situation at all. External validation, right? Contemplating the question, why do we post things on social media? One of the prominent reasons I came up with is extreme validation. We become dependent on likes, shares, and comments as if they are a drug. We would not post things if we never got the positive reinforcement or feedback from our friends or followers. So, for example, if you are a believer in Masonic conspiracy nonsense and you believe in Masonic conspiracies, every time you post something on social media, every time you get a like, every time you get a comment, every time you get a positive response, that's going to make you feel good. And it's going to make you feel good even if you have problems that exist within your own life that you're not dealing with. It's a way to ignore your own problems, your own mental health issues, right? Because how can how can you have problems in your own life if your most recent video got 5,000 likes or 5,000 comments or 5,000 views? And you must be onto something as well, right? If you're posting conspiratorial nonsense about Freemasonry, but it's getting a whole bunch of likes and comments, people will take that to mean what you're saying must be correct, as opposed to there might just be 5,000 people who are wrong. Or the likes and the comments do not automatically confirm that what you're saying is true. Hello, truth. Thank you for being here. Absolutely, Dream Seeker. I think it can be a state of psychosis. By the way, Dream Seeker, don't forget March 28th, 9 to 11. If not before, I'll have your coin for you there. So you can pick it up then for sure. Apple Tree says not all Freemasons are good people, and that's true. But by the same token, not all plumbers are good people. Yeah, I mean, just because you get 5,000 likes, it doesn't mean you're correct. And it also doesn't mean that the like is automatically a confirmation of or a endorsement of the views itself. You may disagree with the view, but hit the like button because you, let's say, agree with the person's right to say it. Or it may be a long post and you agree with some of it and disagree with some of the post, but you hit a like. That's not going to show what you agree with and what you disagree with. Perfect. Right? A means to fix people. One common motivation for posting things on social media is to help people. Let's say you truly and genuinely believe that Freemasonry is a cult or is harming people. Then you may be motivated to post negative things about Freemasonry, or in this case, false things about Freemasonry, to help people. Instead of focusing on yourself and your own problems, if you are helping people or think you're helping people by posting nonsense, that's a great way to become codependent in that you avoid dealing with your own problems because you're too busy fighting what you view as the scourge of Freemasonry. And for that to have any value, you have to believe Freemasonry is bad. Otherwise, the whole thing falls apart. So in that case, you have, in fact, shall we say, what's the word? Incentive to continue believing what you already believe. Because if you believe that Freemasonry harms people, which it doesn't, but if that's what you believe, and posting about the harm that Freemasonry causes, in your opinion, is a way that you can help people, well, then you are incentivizing yourself to A, look up exclusively wrong and false information about Freemasonry, and B, you're incentivizing yourself to continue believing it. Because so long as you believe that, then every time you post about it, you can tell yourself you're helping people. And you can also tell yourself you're helping people, therefore, you don't need to worry about your own problems, your own issues, or your own concerns. Instead, you can just focus on this boogeyman you've created, right? Um, right. And then, as this article points out, I pointed this out myself. Because Facebook centers around connecting with people, it creates a breeding ground for codependency. Um, you are within any social media, there's this idea of you're trying to connect with people. That's your goal. You want to connect with people. As a consequence of that, um, anything that you say that gets more likes, more comments, more retweets, more reposts, more views, it's going to be incredibly hard and incredibly difficult to stop posting those things or to recognize they might be wrong or to then come back on stream and say, I was incorrect about X or Y or incorrect about Freemasonry, especially if you're using the codependent relationship that you have with social media as a way to ignore your own problems in your life by imagining that you're helping other people. But this is also true for Freemasons on the other side as well, right? Let's say you love Freemasonry. Let's say you think Freemasonry is the greatest thing in the world. Um, but if you are posting nonstop about the benefits of Freemasonry, to the extent that you're ignoring your family, you're ignoring your work, even you're ignoring your Masonic in-person commitments to do stuff online, that is an example of codependent relationship the other way, right? Um, Again, you need to focus on your life and what's happening within it. You never want to use Freemason. You never want to use social media, and certainly not Freemasonry within the social media space, as some type of excuse or some type of codependent relationship. Having said that, once again, when I type in Freemasonry into YouTube, the first result I get, and the result with the highest view count at 5.7 million views, is former 33rd degree Mason reveals the darkest secrets of Freemasonry. Because darkest secrets, reveals, those are all words that are going to become incredibly engaging. Um, it has, what we can see, 137,000 likes and 33,397 comments. But somebody points out, and that's the other thing to keep in mind, just because there's 5,000 likes on a post, a lot of them could be bots. A lot of them could be AI generated. A lot of them could be purchased. You need to be incredibly careful about that as well. And that goes both ways, right? Like if you are, um, if you're posting negative things about Freemasonry, or if you come across something and it's speaking negatively about Freemasonry, you need to be incredibly careful. It doesn't mean that if it has 5,000 likes, it doesn't mean that 5,000 people actually liked that post. A significant number of them could be botted, could be purchased. So you need to be really careful about that as well. Well, just because the majority, first of all, Apple Tree, um, in my experience, um, for whatever it's worth, Freemasonry, the majority of people don't think Freemasonry is bad. I would say the majority of people also do not think Freemasonry is necessarily good. The majority of people are not thinking about Freemasonry one way or the other. However, there are several people who do think Freemasonry is bad, and that's unfortunate. And hopefully, we can change that, at least through this channel. Let me know if what I said made sense to you guys, if there's anything you would add or change. I mean, how many people, right? And what is definitely? You want to be really careful with that apple tree. One of the greatest lessons I ever got about writing was write with specificity. So when you say definitely people think Freemasonry is bad, how many? And if you don't know, be very hesitant as to what you say. Writing with specificity is an incredibly valuable skill that unfortunately I think a lot of people don't have. And when you say definitely, again, so definitely some people think Freemasonry is bad. I know that because they're very often on this stream. Does that mean everybody? Like, what is the number? And what do you mean by people? How many? Right? I would say all we know for certain is that some people think Freemasonry is bad, some people think Freemasonry is good, and some people are ambivalent to what Freemasonry is, or to Freemasonry at all as a concept. In terms of, which is which, who knows? I guess what I'd say is everybody, there's no simple answer to that question. Definitely not 99% of the world, though. That, I would say, is highly doubtful. 1 a.m. stream. Well, 1 a.m. stream is when you tend to get most of the trolls, shall we say. But that's okay. That's perfectly fine. It keeps things more interesting. Keeps things more fun. You can bet, but you are crazy if that's what you're betting, that 99% of the people are against Freemasonry. I would find that quite surprising. Because first of all, 99% of the world are not thinking about Freemasonry at all. They're thinking about how they're going to put food on the table and make it through the day. Hello, Spirit. Thank you for being here as always. I hope you're doing well. Even as an organization, it's not 99%. So Adam, what would you say is the middle ground? And by the way, please take a moment. If you're just joining us, hit the like button and the subscribe button. I'm still 4 subs away from 3,600 subscribers. I can't seem to get to 3,600 despite my best efforts. So help a brother out. Get me to that 3,600. And we're going to give it a bit more time, see who joins. I did also want to talk about James Anderson, Reverend James Anderson. He was the author of the Anderson Constitution in 1723. I've talked about it before. I believe that to be that work to contain the greatest paragraph ever written on the subject of religious tolerance, and maybe the greatest paragraph ever written about Freemasonry. And so it's worth, I think, discussing who actually was Reverend James Anderson. He was born and educated in Aberdeen, Scotland. I believe Aberdeen is in Scotland, yeah. James Anderson, born 1679, passed away 1739, was ordained into the Church of Scotland in 1707 before traveling to London to take up a ministry at the Glasshouse Street congregation at the eastern end of Piccadilly, and then in 1710 at the Presbyterian Church in nearby Swallow Street. Okay, well, LAX, you don't have to be here. From 1734 until his death, he ministered at the chapel in Lisle Street, north of Leicester Fields, now Leicester Square. Anderson is regarded by many as pivotal to the birth of modern Freemasonry. However, it would be wrong to view him as the fulcrum on which Grand Lodge and Freemasonry turned. Anderson lacked the social, scientific, and political networks of many of the other Grand Lodge inner circles, but Anderson is known as the author of the 1723 Constitutions. He was not the instigator, nor was he responsible for its most important components. He was the author of the 1738 constitutions, but the contents of that book were replaced by a new Grand Lodge approved edition in 1756. Stevenson argues that Anderson's importance lies in the authorship of the first two editions of the Constitutions, the provisions of a Masonic history that emphasized the craft's antiquity, and among other things, his record of Grand Lodge's development. Stevenson's views are shared by others who emphasize Anderson's relationship with de Galler, I can't pronounce his name, both of whom were members of the Horn Tavern and Solomon Temple, the French Lodge. Desaguliers, Desaguliers. The counter-argument holds the most significant components of the 1723 constitutions were the charges and general regulations, whose authors were Payne and Desaguliers, respectively, and Anderson served as the hired pen. The preamble to the 1723 Constitution support this, dedicated to the Duke of Montague. It is written by, again, not Anderson, who comments that he's dedicating the book to the immediate past Grand Master. Anderson is identified as the author of this book almost as an afterthought on page 74 of the 1723 Constitution. It is interesting to consider why Anderson was hired as a writer and why he accepted. Although we cannot know for certain, there may have been several factors. First, Anderson's income from his Swallow Street congregation, a church described as being much out of repair, was minimal. Second, he's believed to have speculated and lost money in the collapse of the South Sea Company shares in 1720. And third, he was known to Payne and Desaguliers as someone literate and who had been published and who was familiar with Freemasonry and its deemed history and tradition. So again, the extent and how much Reverend James Anderson wrote of the 1723 Anderson Constitutions, we don't know for sure. We certainly know that he was one of several authors, but we also know that he is the credited author and was paid for his authorship. So I tend to be one who gives him maybe more credit than others, right? He was a Freemason, Master of Masonic Lodge, and a Grand Warden of the Grand Lodge of London and Westminster, later known as the Premier Grand Lodge of England, and in the 19th century as the United Grand Lodge of England. He was a member of the Royal Society and a friend of Isaac Newton and John Theophilus, again, I can't pronounce his last name, Desaguliers. He was commissioned in September of 1721 to write a history of the Freemasons, and it was published in 1723 as the Constitutions of the Freemasons. Anderson's name does not appear on the title page, but his authorship is declared in an appendix. Anderson's work, although of the first importance in history of Freemasonry, is unfortunately marred by a number of extravagant claims which are simply incredible. Indeed, it was shown at the Tercentenary Conference of the respected Quarter Coronati Research Lodge that Anderson's history of the founding of the Grand Lodge is doubtful, since the public houses mentioned could probably not have accommodated the meetings that he claims were held in 1717. Anderson's account must be broadly accurate, having been widely published within 6 years of the events described, but it may have been backdated by 2 or 3 years, perhaps to aggrandize some brethren as past Grand Lodge officers. Hello, Jason Shank. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Who do we got here? Dogs are, I love dogs for the record. I love dogs. I love cats even more. Flee Freemasonry. Don't ever serve the devil. Within Freemasonry, we do not serve the devil. I'm very sorry to advise you of that. I'm not sure what it means. You don't serve Freemasonry. Well, I guess you do in a sense, in the same way you serve your neighbors, or you serve your job, or you serve your work, or you serve, you are in service to others, I suppose. You don't serve Freemasonry in a religious sense or a servile sense, in the same way you serve your understanding of God as supreme being. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. Um, the color purple, I don't. I mean, I know "Purple Rain" is one of my favorite songs. Purple tends to be viewed as like a rich color, right? Something that's purple metaphorically is extravagant. Um, Jason Shank, how's it going? Thank you for being here. So again, we know about Anderson and the Anderson Constitutions. He was a reverend. He was from Aberdeen, Scotland. He moved to London and he ministered in the Glass House Street congregation until 1710. We know he was friends with Sir Isaac Newton. Um, Again, he was a Freemason, a Master of Masonic Lodge, and a Grand Warden of the Grand Lodge of London and Westminster, later known as the Premier Grand Lodge of England. He was a member of the Royal Society and a friend of Isaac Newton. He was commissioned in September of 1721 by the Grand Lodge to write a history of the Freemasons, and it was published in 1723 as the Constitutions of the Freemasons. His authorship is declared in the appendix. However, there is evidence that many others had authorship in the Constitution of the Freemasons as well, including Desigual and Payne. So there you go. Well, again, purple metaphorically always was meant to reference extravagance, wealth. It's because to get the color purple back in ancient Roman times, you needed to get a certain type of dye, and that type of dye was very expensive. It came from shellfish, if I recall correctly. And as a consequence of that, yeah, you ended up with this idea of purple, quote unquote, purple as meaning expensive, fancy. So then purple prose or purple passages meant passages that are overly ornate or overly fancy. Um, as a general rule of life, or certainly a rule of writing, but I would say even in life, when you're talking, when you're speaking, when you're communicating, avoid purple. Always really, really good advice, in my opinion. We're going to hang out, wait to see who else joins. Please take a moment, as always. If you get the chance, hit that like and subscribe button. And thank you all for being here. I hope you're all doing very well. We're going to give this a bit more time and see who joins. I don't know. I'd like to visit the annual communication in Tagaytay. I think that's how you pronounce it, in the Philippines. That's April, so about 2 months from now. That is kind of up there, so maybe I'll get there. I was just in Chicago. I'd love to go back. I mean, this discussion has made me really want to visit, really, really want to visit Wyoming. So maybe I'll get the chance. Who knows? Um, I don't think there is. I don't know. Like, when you say modern, do you mean modern Anderson Constitution? Like, do you mean just written in kind of modern English? because there was the first Masonic book ever published in the United States was a reprint of the Anderson Constitutions. It was commissioned by Ben Franklin in 1734. There's a ton of online, like, encyclopedia or online versions of it, but I don't think it's ever been rewritten using modern, like, language. Um, yeah, there's a lot of that in it, but it's okay. I think Mackie did some stuff with it as well, but I've never seen any of it like rewritten in modern English. Um, if you guys want to help me on my travels, consider doing a super chat, just 99 cents. Right? I've said before, um, I've said many times in the past, and I would still say, when it comes to Freemasonry, there's a lot of stuff I don't know. There's a lot of things I haven't read. But in terms of my favorite work that I've read, it's probably the Anderson Constitution, specifically again concerning God and religion, um, is my favorite. And again, if you guys want to help me, Apple Tree, on my travels, then I hope you'll consider doing a super chat. Just 99 cents would help me big time. And thank you all for being here. For now, we're just going to hang out and wait to see who joins. But I think that would kind of take something away from it, to be honest. If from the Anderson Constitution you took out the you put it in the modern English, it'd be like redoing Shakespeare in modern English, you know? I think it would take something away from it. There's something kind of special, I think, the about reading it in the original Old English, if you will. In my oh so humble opinion. We're just going to hang out, give it a bit more time, see who joins. Once again, I hope that I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this stream, and I'm really hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that things have calmed down in Puerto Vallarta. I talked yesterday about, if you're a Canadian, the shelter in place warning, registering with the Canadian government so you can get updates and news as to what's happening, listening to local authorities. I've been lucky enough and blessed enough, if you want to use that word, to have visited Puerto Vallarta on 3 occasions, as well as visited Nogales, Mexico on 1 occasion. It is truly a beautiful place, genuinely. And I don't think I've ever visited a Masonic Grand Lodge in a more beautiful place than Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And so, to all my Masonic brethren and friends in Puerto Vallarta, I hope you guys are okay. Listen to local authorities. Keep your head down. If you are from Canada and you're there, shelter in place, register with the government so they know where you are. I can give you updates as to what's happening and when you'll be able to leave potentially. I left the link to how to register in the previous video. The number to call, hello, CEO of Puerto Vallarta. Yeah, I know, it makes me very sad because I genuinely love Puerto Vallarta so much. Contact, let's see, I had the number here a second ago. Let me get it once again. The Emergency Watch and Response Center is available 24/7 at 613-996-8885. or you can email sos@international.gc.ca. And if you're in Mexico specifically, 5255-5724-7900. Those are all the kind of numbers and places you can call or contact if you have any concerns. No, let's not stay dangerous. Let's not. It's amazing to think, again, having been in Puerto Vallarta so many times, well, 3 times, define that however you please. I never felt at any point when I was there unsafe or scared or concerned for my safety or, my Masonic brothers' safety. It was a really beautiful city and town. So it's a real shame, and I hope that everybody's going to be okay. Hello, Mr. Works. Thank you for being here. If you guys want to help out, give a super chat, just 99 cents. Helps out big time. Well, I'd like to just not be taken into captivity at all, alive or dead. How's about that? That seems to be a much better option for whatever it's worth. So let's avoid that. Unfortunately, a lot of people can be very cruel. Makes me very sad. Makes me very sad that people can be cruel out there in the world. I would say, in general, it's about being safe, being intelligent, not being foolish, knowing the numbers to call if you have an emergency. Having your passport up to date, making sure people know where you're at. That's one of the benefits of social media is if you're always posting where you are and what's going on, if you don't post for a few days, people may, want to check in on you. All right, guys, we're going to give it another, let's say, 5 minutes. I'll be ending this stream. I will be back on at 1 a.m., the infamous streams, if you will. And tomorrow we'll be back on at 10 a.m. with more push-ups. I'm just looking up X right now. Who is very infamous? I guess I'm very infamous. Right now, I'm not seeing anything on X that indicates the violence has continued. I'm not sure if the shelter in place order is continuing or not. Obviously, I'd say if you have been instructed to shelter in place, keep doing that. And even if the instruction has ended, I would suggest it might be worth continuing to do so anyways, especially if you're scared and not comfortable. Oh, a 10 p.m. stream. There you go. Yes, the infamous 1 a.m. streams. Let's see. It looks like flights are still, it looked like flights are still canceled going into Puerto Vallarta. Yeah, as of right now, hold on just 1 second. Is shelter in place still in effect for, let's see. Oh, as of, here it is, 37 minutes ago from CTV News. Canadian tourists say Puerto Vallarta streets eerily quiet. So it looks like The Mexican army on Sunday killed the leader of a major drug cartel during a security operation near Puerto Vallarta in western Mexico. Let's see. Violence and unrest spread across multiple Mexican states. In the immediate aftermath, authorities deployed the Army and National Guard to restore order. International responses were swift, with Global Affairs Canada updating its travel advisory for Mexico, urging Canadians in affected regions to exercise a high degree of caution and monitor local guidance. Canadian airlines adjusted schedules, with some flights delayed or canceled amid military concerns. Canadian tourist says street quiet. Mark Edge says the streets of Puerto Vallarta, Mexico are eerily quiet a day after fire and violence engulfed the popular tourist destination on Sunday. The communications professor from Vancouver says he saw billowing clouds of black smoke and burned out vehicles while walking on the boardwalk. So I guess the shelter-in-place instruction has expired. Oh, no, here it is. Edge says he's been sheltering in place in his hotel and waiting to see if the Puerto Vallarta airport reopens in time for his scheduled flight on Tuesday. There was a Canadian man who reported being attacked. The former deputy PM is sheltering at a condo in Puerto Vallarta. Sheila Copps. So, in a statement to CTV News, Porter Airlines said 3 round-trip flights to Puerto Vallarta from Hamilton, Ottawa, Toronto have been canceled since Sunday. Because the situation is evolving and it will consider further policy and schedule updates as needed, this includes determining when flights can safely restart. All right. Bragging as usual. I'm not sure who's bragging. Gates Berserk. Crank. Well, what am I ignoring? I haven't seen all of your comments. So what did you say? Because I must have missed it. So what is, sorry, Gates, but what did you have to say? Because I must have missed it. But yeah, I am reaching out to my friends in Puerto Vallarta, my Masonic brethren, just to see if they're okay, if they're doing well, if the Masonic lodges have been affected by the violence at all. I know actually a few people who live very close to the Costco in Puerto Vallarta that was set on fire, so I'm hoping they're doing all right. Haven't heard anything yet. As soon as I hear something, though, I will for sure try to let people know. Honestly, Gates, for that, I think the best thing you can do, I've said this before, is figure out what it is you like, what it is you enjoy, and just focus on that, right? I think that's the most important thing. Focus on yourself and doing things you enjoy. Let's say you love bowling, join a bowling league. Presumably, there may be some women on the bowling league. You both know automatically you have the same interests, and you kind of go from there. That would be my advice for whatever it's worth. Well, then again, don't think about relationships. This is my advice. It's nothing to do with Freemasonry, for the record. But I would say just focus on doing things you enjoy and things that you kind of find fulfillment out of. Don't think about relationships. Just do things you enjoy. And other people who enjoy those same things will be hanging out with you, and you can go from there. That would be my advice for whatever it's worth. Please hit like and subscribe if you're just tuning in. We're going to be ending this stream shortly, but I hope everybody's having a great day. And again, to everybody who's facing any issues right now, any danger, certainly if you're in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, I hope you're doing okay. Also, if you've been affected by the pretty massive snowstorm right now, I hope you're doing okay. If you look at this, there is a blizzard travel ban remaining in effect, as 5 states have over 2 feet of snow. It is near impossible to travel in New York. It can be difficult. I get nervous around women sometimes. It's okay, Gats. There is whiteout conditions ongoing. Let's see. "12 minutes ago, blizzard conditions slow down power restoration efforts in Massachusetts," company says. Holy cow. "The blizzard conditions are making it difficult for workers at National Grid, a key electric and gas company in Massachusetts, to restore power to tens of thousands of its customers. More than 51,000 customers across Massachusetts are without power, according to the company. While our crews are deployed and ready, weather conditions are expected to limit restoration efforts throughout the day," said the National Grid of New England Electric Chief Operating Officer. "Power crews are stranded in Massachusetts. Some power crews in Boston area have been unable to reach outage sites as heavy, wet snow and wind gusts topping 65 miles per hour made roads impassable on Monday. According to a report 23 minutes ago, it will finally stop snowing closer to midnight today, so like 12 hours from now. If anybody knows of any Masonic brethren who have been affected by the snow, maybe injured in the snow or without power or whatever it might be, let me know. Maybe they're looking for some people to help them shovel out, and I'll try to post something on social media. I do have some Masonic contacts and friends in those 5 states, so maybe I can find some people to help you out, or at least post that you need help and kind of go from there. I mean, we'll see. CEO of my time, I don't think anybody knows right now what's happening or what the plans are. It seems as though, at least based on what I'm seeing, again, this is all coming from social media, so take it with a grain of salt. As I discussed earlier, that the violence has at least somewhat calmed down since yesterday. The U.S. is running a crisis hotline for citizens impacted by Mexican unrest. I just found out about that through CNN. Let's see. Trying to see if I can find the number. Oh, the description is crawling back to normal right now. U.S. Mexico crisis hotline number. So for U.S. citizens in Mexico, the number is 202-501-4444. Once again, that's 202-501-4444. If you are an American and you are in Mexico right now. Well, Mike, that's a very foolish attitude to take, because wouldn't you want people, regardless of whether it comes from CNN or Fox News or News Nations, to have a number to call, a 24 number to call if they are concerned for their safety or want more information? You seem like the type of person, you can be upset, gooey, that's fine. There's no law that says you don't have to be upset. Actually, no, let me put this in the YouTube channel. please hit that like and subscribe button if you're joining. I hope you guys are doing well, and thank you all for being here. I'll be back on at 1 a.m., so you can find me then. Honestly, with all this going on, I might go back to Puerto Vallarta sooner rather than later, just because I don't like seeing this. My concern is Puerto Vallarta relies heavily on tourism. If it takes a big hit from this, it affects a lot of the economy, which would make me very sad. So there you go. I think the number is legitimate. I think the number is accurate, and the extent to which it will or will not help people. I mean, I don't know. I can't say, but it can't hurt to have, right? And this idea of like, what is the news? That's a very broad term. Are you referring to the entirety of the news? Like, what do you mean by the news? Um, well, I mean, I assume sooner or later that number brings you through to a legit person. I don't know, but I do want people to know about it. If you are an American and you are trapped in Puerto Vallarta, I hope that you, like I said, I want you to be safe because I genuinely love that area, and I hope everybody there is as safe as possible. Goodbye, Apple. Trying to keep going for a couple more minutes. Just wait to see who joins. Although we'll probably be ending this stream very soon. And then I guess I'll be back on at 1 a.m. Yeah. Looks like flights are still canceled. And to anybody who is in the, I guess, northeast of America, New England area, getting just slammed by snow, same thing. If you guys know of any Masons who need assistance, let me know. I'll try to include something on my social media channels. I don't know. I've asked myself that question many times the way it's experienced, and I don't have a good answer. What I would say is whether human beings suck or not, it's important that we as Freemasons try not to suck. We might not always succeed, but we should try, and we should put in some effort, is how I'd say that, for whatever it's worth. Let's give it a bit more time. Let's see who joins. But we are going to be ending this stream shortly. We'll be back on at 1 a.m. though. I'm just hanging out right now, ready for the questions. We went through the discussion of Anderson as well as the discussion of social media. So yeah. It's going well, DL3472. How's it going with you? I am waiting like crazy. I'm so close to 3,600 subs. So if you all want to help me out and get me to my 3,600 subs, I'd really appreciate it. Hit like and hit the like and subscribe button. Yeah, cool aid. Freemasonry is not a religion, so there are many Christians, Muslims, Jewish people. There is no like Masonic religion. So long as you believe in a supreme being, that supreme being is usually defined pretty broadly. But yeah, you can absolutely join. So Cool Aid, welcome. Have you been on the stream before? I'm not sure if you have. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know what your thoughts are of Freemasonry. We're going to give it another few minutes, wait to see who joins. Again, we're about to just answering general questions, hanging out. So the term usually would be supreme being, which is an Enlightenment era term. Yes, but it's not specified. And honestly, it's very liberally defined as a general rule, right? So it's not the type of thing where it has to follow, let's say, an Abrahamic faith, for example. But yeah, I mean, I sit in lodge with, again, Jewish, Christian, Hindu, Sikh, Muslim, indigenous. I'm not sure what you mean by the trifold, Jeremy. Do you mean, because that could mean a couple different things. So, do you mean the apron, which has the triangle in the front? The flap, it's called. Do you mean the Royal Arch symbol? Um, do you mean the three dots, which you sometimes see, though not very often? I think you're referring to the aprons that we wear, Jeremy. And the aprons that we wear, they have the flap in the front, but they're symbolic of stone Masonic aprons or journeyman aprons, right? Or tradesman aprons, craftsman aprons. Freemasonry evolved from stone masonry. It evolved from um, the professional stone Masonic guilds. They wore aprons while they were working on stone to protect their garments from spot or stain. So we as Freemasons continue to wear them to show honor to our, I guess, professional roots or our stone Masonic guilds, as well as, to impart metaphorical or ethical lessons, would be my response to that. Like the three dots within sometimes you see within a triangle. I mean, it's not something I see very often, to be honest. The three dots in a triangular form. It's something I see very rarely. You can learn more about it in the Square magazine. Um, right? They're normally meant to be um, like it could mean, right? Albert Mackey, I pulled it up. Albert Mackey talks about it. Abbreviations of technical terms or of official titles are of very extensive use in Masonry. They were, however, but rarely employed in the earlier Masonic publications. For instance, not one is to be found in the first edition of the Anderson Constitutions, which I just talked about. Within a comparatively recent period, they have greatly increased, especially among French writers, and a familiar with them is therefore essentially necessary To the Masonic student, frequently among English and always among French authors, a Masonic abbreviation is distinguished by 3 points in a triangular form following the letter, which peculiar mark was first used in 1774. No authoritative explanation of the meaning of these points has been given, but they are supposed to refer to either the 3 lights around an altar or perhaps more generally to the number 3, an important number within Freemasonry. It's not something I've seen very much of, though, so I can't really speak to it too much. I am a person who loves to talk about Freemasonry. There is no such thing as a Freemason recruiter. We don't recruit within Freemasonry. Well, I'm visiting a lodge at least 3 or 4 times a week, so 12, 13 times a month at a minimum. I'm very active in Freemasonry. Now, Captain Stark, that's not a requirement. You don't have to visit that often. I know some who never visit, maybe visit once a year, if that. Every Mason kind of decides for himself how often he wishes to visit. But I would say I visit once every, at least 3 or 4 times a week, if not more. RH, please hit like and subscribe. Nice try. I mean, to me, it's one of those things where why would you not, want to visit as lodge as much as you can? Now, it's tough if you work, whatever it might be, but it's important to try and visit as regularly as possible. In my opinion, you get the more out of it, right? Having a Masonic membership is like having a gym membership. The more you visit, the more you get out of it. So when it comes to the points of Freemasonry, honestly, it's up to every Mason to decide that for himself. I mean, at its core, what is the point of getting together with your friends on a Friday night, right? The ultimate point of Freemasonry is that it is worth getting together with other people. It is worth being social and is worth spending time with others, including spending time with your Masonic brethren. That is the point of Freemasonry as well as the point of any club or group, that it's worth spending time with these men or women for the Order of Women Freemasonry. For me, the point of Freemasonry is trying to build a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. But that's my own personal opinion within Freemasonry. That is not the opinion. Other people, their point of it for them may be to feel closer to family. For others, they may be trying to develop certain skills, like they may want to become better public speakers. They may want to become, more confident. Others may love history and just like the idea of being part of a Masonic group or a group that is so historically connected. I would say, though, if you had to break it down, the point of Freemasonry is that it is worth spending time with one another and it is worth spending time with our brothers. You can network through Freemasonry. That's not the primary purpose of it, but that's absolutely possible. And many people, I would say, do find networking benefits from being a Freemason, but you can get those benefits in many different places. It's not exclusive to Freemasonry, right? Anytime you increase your social circle by joining a club or a group, you naturally increase your opportunities to network. We're just going to give it a few more minutes. Just going to see who else joins. I hope I'm answering the questions well. If I'm not, let me know. Thoughts on self-worship? I don't know what that means. I would say it's probably not a healthy thing to engage in self-worship. I mean, I have, Jeremy, very rarely, but it does happen. I'm not sure what it means to self-worship, but I'd say it doesn't sound like a comfortable thing. You should respect yourself, you should appreciate yourself, but you should not worship yourself. I would say it's probably a unhealthy attitude to take. I don't have a Baphomet statue, Jimmy Dean, because Freemasons don't worship Baphomet. Yeah, exactly. It can happen in any group. That's the key. I've heard of that before. I don't know much about Satanism. I never met a satanic Freemason. I self-worship as a principle seems to be a pretty dangerous idea because to worship something means you place it above everything else, and I don't think you should place yourself above others. You should place yourself equal to others, but not above others. So, David, all you said there was Satan. Freemasonry does not worship Satan. Aniket, welcome from Russia. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button if you get the chance. I would truly appreciate it, and thank you for being here. I mean, I do think there's an element of self-worship in today's society that I find concerning. I think that a social media plays a big role in that, a codependent relationship on social media. That is absolutely the case. That's great, David. I mean, I would say probably of all the things to hate, hating the devil seems reasonable. Well, I don't worship the devil, David Cutran. I feel like you're implying that Freemasons worship the devil, which we do not. You're free to not like me if you want, but I'd hope you would not like me for valid reasons and not incorrect reasons. You know, there's plenty of things legitimate uh, that are legitimate to dislike about me. It seems kind of foolish to dislike me for something that doesn't actually exist. Um, Old Sky, I'm not going to be a reviler of anyone's religion. So, no, Islam is not a satanic ideology. It is a religion, and people are welcome to worship it as or follow it as they would any other religion. Um, well, I'm not a fan. I mean, what do you mean by mass deportations? That's a political question. Um, Freemasonry is not a political organization, so it has many different views, both positive. Some may support deportations, mass or otherwise. Some may be against it. You'd have to ask each individual Freemason. I mean, okay, I have no idea if that's true or not. Again, I would say self-worship seems like a concerning idea to me, but I'm not going to knock anybody for their religious beliefs. I'll just say for me, I would suggest that a healthy society is one in which individuals do not worship themselves above the needs of others or above the needs of the society as a whole. Clash, I mean, Scientology, to my knowledge, is a religion. I know very little about it, but again, I'm not going to be a reviler of one's religion. I've talked in the past about what is a cult, what makes a cult, why Freemasonry is not a cult, which some people believe, some people don't, but I can't speak for Scientology. That is true, Jeremy. That is true. Politics and religion are banned for discussion in a Masonic lodge. Well, it's not made up. I celebrated it just 2 months ago. I mean, if you want to say it's made up, then everything is made up, definitionally, right? Like, what holiday isn't quote unquote made up? I don't know what that would actually mean. I went to law school actually, which is crazy to think it's been so long since I went to, it feels like it's been ages since I went to law school. It feels like a very long time ago. It's been about 20 years, which is nuts. Well, I appreciate that, but I'm much older than 30. I'm 42. 42 years of age. Well, you learn more about the different degrees. That's true. But the foundation upon which Freemasonry rests is the third degree. So that was the first 3 degrees, the craft degrees. So once you get to your third degree, you are as high as you can go in Freemasonry. Yeah, you can learn more about Scottish Rite of York Rite specifically, but that doesn't equate to necessarily learning some great hidden truth about Freemasonry. All the truths that matter in Freemasonry are in the first 3 degrees. That's the foundation upon which Freemasonry rests. If you removed um, those 3 degrees, Freemasonry as a whole would cease to exist, if that makes any sense. Oh, I just saw a picture here from Puerto Vallarta. Morning is still quiet as the sun comes up over the mountains in Puerto Vallarta. Looks like, as of 6 hours ago, knock on wood, things were quiet. So, fingers crossed it stays that way. What level have we gone up to? Well, I don't like to think and use the word level truth. We don't really have levels in Freemasonry. We have degrees and we have offices. I am a third degree Master Mason and I am an 18th degree Scottish Rite Mason. I'm also a um, worshipful master and past master of a lodge, which is the office. And the highest degree is a third degree, and the highest office is worshipful master. Or you could argue maybe installing master, certainly in emulation ritual. You could argue installing master. I would love to get higher up on that ladder, but I'm also very busy trying to do this for a living. Please do a super chat, just 99 cents. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I hope everybody is doing well. All right. Hello, Champion Wizard. Good to see you once again. I hope that you're doing well. How's it going, Champion Wizard? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. All right, I think I'll be ending this stream shortly. Let's say we got a lot of people. I hope the what's the secret to the Mobius strip? That's the mathematical concept where an object has a single side, right? I don't know what the secret of it is. I think it's a pretty well-known thing. I think most people can picture it, even if they don't necessarily, know what it is precisely, or like know the mathematical formula of it. I think most people could kind of guess what it is or have some concept of it. It's not a secret. It's not a Masonic thing per se. All right, I think we're gonna end this stream. Oh, hold on one second. So the operations, I believe, according to Twitter, again, take it with a grain of salt. Let me just see. Operations in Guadalajara International Airport and the Puerto Vallarta Airport have returned to normal. All right. That is great to hear. Hopefully, Canadians can get out of there if they're concerned for their safety or travel to there if they are deciding that they still want to continue with their travel plans. You should do whatever you feel safe doing under the guidance and instruction of local authorities and Canadian authorities. Well, I am a member of a Masonic Lodge in Israel, for whatever it's worth, but I'm Canadian. I love being Canadian. Greatest country in the world. Well, Opus Dei is a part of the Catholic Church, correct? So no, because they're separate organizations. I don't think it's because it's a Catholic organ. I know very little about it, but it's not connected to Freemasonry. I don't know what that means, Fox, but okay. One does not simply knock 3 times. How's it going, David? Thank you for being here. By the way, everybody watching this, I am 3 subs away from 3,600 subscribers. So help a brother out. Give me those extra 3 subs. I'd very much appreciate it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share these streams, do all that good jazz. It would be much, much appreciated. But David, I hope you're doing well. All right, I think we're going to be ending this stream. I'll be back on at 1 a.m. for my infamous 1 a.m. live streams. I'll see you all soon. Everybody have an excellent, excellent night, and thank you all for hanging out. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, consider a super chat, join my Patreon, all that good jazz. Talk to y'all soon.